we should know after this conversation if this is going to be an extremely tough deal or it should be relatively simple. It should be a pretty straightforward deal. Now, there could be many different instances, different businesses. There's different caveats. There's different rules we got to follow in the SOPs of SBA. See if it fits in these guidelines. But essentially, from that initial 10 or 20-minute conversation, we're going to have a good understanding of the project itself.
Welcome to the Investor Financing Podcast, where we interview real estate investors and lenders so you can learn all the secrets to getting your projects funded and scale your portfolio. And now, your host, Beau Eckstein.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Investor Financing Podcast. And I'm your host, Beau Eckstein. And on today's show, we're going to talk about how the 504 loan process works. And I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to hopefully make the process easier. So anyway, you are purchasing, you're expanding a business. Maybe it's a startup and you're building something from the ground up and you're trying to figure this all out. And believe me, it's very confusing, right? If you go to the wrong bank or lender, they might say, oh, we can't do this, because every bank has a different appetite. And that's why people like myself are around, commercial mortgage advisors, because we interact with bankers and credit unions and network, and we figure out who has appetites for what type of loan request. Because it's very different. You can go to one SBA lender to another, and they have completely different appetites. Just like in conventional lending, some lenders like multifamily, some lenders like hospitality, some lenders only want to do owner user real estate. Some want to just do investment property real estate. It really depends, right? So if you find a good commercial mortgage advisor, I would probably recommend going there, and not because that's what I do. It's just because the fact of the matter is if hopefully when I get done with this short episode, you understand why. All right, so you have a property, a business in mind that you want to buy some land and build a commercial property to run your business, whatever your business is. And now you need to figure out, okay, I need to get a construction loan, right? You need to go, you got to buy the parcel of land for $250,000. You got to put $1 million into the build, right? So now it's kind of overwhelming you, because if you go out and try to get a conventional bank loan, they're going to maybe give you 65% of costs, depending on your experience levels. But you might want to get 85 or 90% of costs. And so that's where the SBA 504 is really a great tool for small business owners. So kind of circling back, you got to find somebody that's knowledgeable in the SBA space, and then they're going to ask you a few basic questions to kind of get the ball rolling, right? Tell me about your business. What are you doing with it, right? Do you have experience in this field? Is this an expansion of an existing business, or is it a startup? What's your experience in this sector, right? Because banks find it a little bit more difficult on a projection-based business versus a business that's already has 3 years of financials, right? If you have a startup business, it's different, right? Not to say it can't be done. It's just easier to do an expansion versus startup. But anyway, so now we're taking the data points of the conversation, right? What are you doing? What's it going to cost? What's your experience in this business? What does your personal financial statement look like? Is there any other partners? Anybody that's got 20% ownership or more needs to be on the application for SBA. So we're gathering this information. Now we're going to put together a summary, a short summary, and really, we should know after this conversation if this is going to be an extremely tough deal or it should be relatively simple, and it should be a pretty straightforward deal. Now, there could be many different instances, different businesses. There's different caveats. There's different rules we got to follow in the SOPs of SBA to see if it fits in these guidelines. But essentially, from that initial 10 or 20-minute conversation, we're going to have a good understanding of the project itself. And then what I do is I go, okay, the property's located here. This is the loan amount. This is probably a better 504 than a 7A, and this is why. This is what I'm doing internally. And then which lenders are going to have an appetite for this? Which lenders are going to understand it? Is it very complex or is it pretty straightforward? Is it a construction aspect? Because some SBA lenders aren't doing much construction. They prefer stabilized. What asset class? Is it assisted living facility? Not all SBA lenders want to do. When I'm saying SBA lenders, I'm saying the bank, because there's a bank piece and there's the SBA piece or the CDC piece. So it's first and second. So you got to put it all together, right? And what if it's a hotel? Right now, not many lenders want to do hotels. So you got to figure out these pieces. And then what we do as commercial mortgage advisors is we go and we go to our lender network, our banks, our credit unions, who are also sometimes preferred SBA lenders, our non-bank SBA lenders, our non-bank SBA 7A lenders, right? So there's different buckets that we can bring these deals to, depending on the situation. We can also pair conventional financing with the 7A. We can do SBA green financing for the 504. There's all these little tools, but first we got to start with the conversation. What are you doing? What's the cost? What's the sources and uses? What do you look like as a borrower? What's your experience in this business? And from there, we have a pretty good idea if this is going to be a fundable transaction. And don't get me wrong, some deals that I take in, I think are going to be super easy and they end up being very difficult, and vice versa. Sometimes it seems like a very difficult deal. But what I do, and what other, I think, good commercial mortgage advisors do, is we're networking nonstop. We're not facilitating these loans and making sure they're going to closing. I'm out there pounding the pavement while using online strategies right now, but basically meeting different lenders, because everybody's so niched down. There's generalists, but there's also specialists. Some of these SBA lenders like car washes, some of them like self-storage, some of them like ALF, assisted living facilities. Some of them still want to do all hotel. So some of them like to do a combination of all of them. But knowing where you can get the best capital stack, the cheapest cost of funds is critical for you, the borrower. And so that's why I'm doing these episodes, is to kind of, as I'm learning more every day, I want to bring some of this knowledge to you, because I know people out there are listening and finding me on YouTube and iTunes and Libsyn. And so I want to make the process pretty streamlined. SBA used to seem very overwhelming to me when I was originating commercial loans, but not so much SBA loans. But when I dove into SBA, it really is one of the best owner-user financing tools out there for business owners. So that's why I love it now. And plus you can be very creative. You can help structure deals. There's different components to it. So it's a great tool. But anyway, highly recommend you book a call with me if you're looking for some financing. Would love to chat with you and figure out what is available for you in your situation. Anyways, thanks so much for being a fan of the show. Please like and subscribe. Helps me to get other people to watch me by the algorithms knowing that people actually watch these videos. So thank you so much.